Let me begin by talking about something many men experience, but very few talk about openly. The first round ends very quickly. Sometimes it ends almost immediately. A few movements, a brief moment, and ejaculation happens. And right after that moment, a wave of confusion and embarrassment sets in. You begin asking yourself questions that feel urgent and uncomfortable. Why did this happen so fast? Why is it not responding again? Why is it not getting firm again? What should I do now? This situation is far more common than most men realize. It happens across ages, backgrounds, and experience levels. It happens to men who are otherwise healthy. It happens to men who feel confident in other areas of life. And when it happens, the problem is not just physical. It becomes psychological very quickly. The mind begins to race. Thoughts shift from connection to pressure, from presence to performance. And that mental shift is often what prevents the second round from happening at all. What most men are never clearly told is that the body follows very specific biological rules when it comes to arousal, ejaculation, and recovery. These rules are not random. They are not signs of failure. They are deeply wired into the nervous system. Understanding them removes a great deal of fear and frustration, and once fear is removed, function often improves naturally. After ejaculation, the male body enters what is called a refractory period. This is a recovery phase during which the nervous system resets. During this time, the brain temporarily reduces sexual responsiveness. Blood flow patterns change, sensitivity decreases, hormonal signaling shifts. This is not a malfunction, it is a protective mechanism. The length of this period varies widely between individuals and changes with age, health, stress levels, and mental state. For some men, this period lasts only a few minutes. For others, it may last 20 minutes. 30 minutes or longer. The key point is this: the refractory period is not fixed. It is influenced by both physical and psychological factors, and in many cases, it becomes longer not because the body is incapable, but because the mind is under pressure. When the first round ends very quickly, the mind often reacts with alarm. Thoughts such as, "This is not normal, something is wrong with me, I am disappointing my partner," or "I must fix this immediately," begin to surface. These thoughts activate the stress response. Stress hormones rise, blood flow is redirected away from reproductive organs towards survival systems. This makes it much harder for the body to return to an aroused state. In other words, the more you try to force the second round, the less likely it becomes. This creates a loop. Quick ejaculation leads to anxiety. Anxiety leads to delayed recovery. Delayed recovery increases anxiety further. Over time, this loop can turn a temporary situation into a persistent problem. It is important to understand that quick ejaculation in the first round does not automatically mean something is wrong. In fact, the first round is often the most sensitive. Nerve endings are highly responsive, arousal is intense, excitement is high. The nervous system has not yet adjusted. For many men, especially under conditions of anticipation or limited time, the first round is naturally brief. This alone is not a disorder. The real issue arises when the second round does not happen at all, or when recovery takes so long that intimacy becomes stressful rather than enjoyable. When this pattern repeats, men begin to label themselves as having a problem. That label then shapes expectation. Expectation shapes response, and response shapes outcome. Let me explain something crucial. The ability to have a second erection is not determined by a single factor. It is determined by the interaction between circulation, hormones, nervous system balance, and mental state. Addressing only one of these while ignoring the others rarely works. Circulation plays a major role. After ejaculation, blood flow naturally decreases in the genital region. For an erection to return, blood must once again be directed there efficiently. This requires healthy blood vessels, flexible tissues, and adequate nitric oxide signaling. Anything that interferes with circulation, such as dehydration, inflammation, poor cardiovascular fitness, or chronic stress, will slow this process. Hormones also matter. Testosterone supports sexual responsiveness, but it does not act alone. Prolactin rises after ejaculation and temporarily suppresses arousal. Cortisol, the stress hormone, can amplify this suppression if anxiety is present. When cortisol remains high, the body stays in a guarded state. Desire becomes secondary. The nervous system is perhaps the most overlooked factor. Sexual arousal is governed by the parasympathetic nervous system, often described as the rest and connect system. Stress activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response. These two systems cannot dominate dominate at the same time. If the mind is tense, rushed, or worried, the parasympathetic response is inhibited. This makes a second erection much harder to achieve. This is why environment and pacing matter so much. When time feels limited, pressure increases. When pressure increases, recovery slows. Many men report that when they are relaxed, unhurried, and mentally present, the second round becomes easier. When they are watching the clock or worrying about outcomes, it becomes nearly impossible. Now let us talk about what actually helps. The first step is understanding what is normal. A recovery time of 15 to 30 minutes is within a normal range for many men, especially beyond early adulthood. If an erection returns within this window, there is usually no underlying dysfunction. The body is simply following its rhythm. If recovery consistently takes much longer, or if firmness does not return at all, then it becomes important to look at overall health rather than searching for an instant fix. There is no safe substance that can override biology without consequences. Anything that forces arousal without addressing the underlying state of the nervous system often leads to dependency or diminished response over time. Instead, the most effective approach is to shorten the refractory period naturally. This begins long before intimacy occurs. Daily habits shape sexual responsiveness far more than momentary interventions. Hydration is essential. Even mild dehydration thickens blood and reduces circulation efficiency. Regular physical activity improves vascular health and nitric oxide signaling. Sleep quality regulates hormonal balance. Mental health cannot be separated from sexual health. Chronic stress, unresolved anxiety, and low mood blunt desire and delay recovery. When these states are present, the mind remains occupied even during intimate moments. The body senses this distraction and responds accordingly. One of the most powerful tools for improving second-round responsiveness is cardiovascular movement, particularly consistent brisk walking or similar moderate exercise. This improves blood flow, reduces baseline cortisol, enhances serotonin levels, and stabilizes testosterone signaling. Over weeks and months, this creates a nervous system that transitions more easily between arousal and recovery. Breathing patterns also matter. After ejaculation, slow, deep breathing activates the parasympathetic system. This signals safety to the body. When breathing remains shallow and rapid, the stress response persists. Simple awareness of breath can significantly shorten recovery time. Mental reframing is equally important. Instead of viewing the first round as a failure, view it as part of a natural sequence. When pressure is removed, the mind relaxes. When the mind relaxes, the body follows. It is also important to recognize that intimacy is not limited to penetration. When the focus remains exclusively on performance, anxiety increases. When connection, touch, and presence are prioritized, arousal often rebuilds organically. Many men discover that when they stop monitoring firmness and start engaging emotionally, the second erection arrives without effort. Nutritional status plays a role as well. Certain deficiencies, like low vitamin D or B12, can impair nerve signaling and blood flow. These deficiencies are common and often unnoticed. Correcting them supports overall responsiveness, but changes occur gradually, not instantly. The expectation of immediate results is one of the greatest obstacles to improvement. The body does not respond well to urgency. It responds to consistency. Men who adopt healthier routines, manage stress, and remove performance pressure often report steady improvement over several months. It is also important to dispel the idea that masculinity is defined by unlimited rounds or instant recovery. This belief creates unrealistic expectations and unnecessary shame. Sexual health is not about quantity. It's about responsiveness, connection, and comfort within one's own body. When men stop comparing themselves to myths and start listening to their own physiology, anxiety decreases. And as anxiety decreases, function improves. Let me say this clearly. Quick ejaculation in the first round does not mean you are inadequate. Difficulty achieving a second erection does not mean something is permanently wrong. In most cases, it means the nervous system is under strain, and strained systems recover slowly. Supported systems recover quickly. If you take anything away from this, let it be this.
The second round does not begin after ejaculation. It begins with how you live, how you think, how you breathe, and how you treat your body every day. When those foundations are strong, recovery becomes easier. Arousal becomes more reliable. Confidence returns not because you forced it, but because your body feels safe again. If this explanation helped you understand yourself better, take a moment to reflect on that. Awareness itself reduces tension, and reduced tension is often the first step step toward restoration. I am Dr. Iris Amelia. My intention is to replace confusion with clarity, fear with understanding, and pressure with patience. The body is not your enemy. It responds faithfully to the conditions you create. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next conversation.